So, hello there, welcome to what you think is going to be Warhammer issue 28. I'm afraid I have a bit of a problem, so I want to do a big update for you. So, as you know, when I was doing the Warhammer, I was going backwards and forwards between London and home, and it just seems to have caused chaos. There's little bits gone missing. I've got little bits of footage where I was starting doing various videos. Basically, I broke all the rules of video making. Don't make 4 or 5 videos at once. Just do the one and focus on it. Now, obviously, you guys want to see what's in there, or you may not. You may be switching off now and saying, oh, there's no content, I'm not going to watch the video. Now, video 29, or sorry, issue 29 has been completed. So I will show that next week. But what I've got here, no painting at all. I have got the assembly for issue 28, 30 and 31. One of them's not really assembly, it's the paint. I don't want to waste the footage, so I'm offering you the option. You can switch off now. This is the end of the video for you. You're not interested anymore. But what I'm now going to show, if you carry on watching, will be the unboxings for 28, 30 and 31. It'll be a little bit messy. I'm just going to chuck the raw footage on the end and we'll let you watch it if you want to watch it. So that's what I'm going to do. Now, next week will be stage 29, which is, I can't remember what we're doing on 29. And as you can see here, I shall be doing the Warhammers properly. This is 32 sealed. That will come out as 2 issues. That's Moon Clan Shooters. 33, and we have the cat interruption. How are you, mister? 31 will be 2 issues. No, 33, sorry, will be 2 issues. That will be Night Judicators. 34 is just 2 pots of, they're actually a base paint and a shade. So that will be that one. That will probably be one video because there'll be no assembly. 35 looks like a small issue. That's the Arch Revenant. And 36 will be a Fungoid Cave Shaman. Every issue is still sealed, so I won't have lost anything. Now, a little bit of an advance warning. I'm kind of thinking, I know it's only September, but I'm starting to think about Christmas. Issue 36, which is this one, will take us up to Christmas. I'm going to do what I'm now establishing as my... This is the problem I have when I stream. I'm having what is now going to be a regular Christmas break. So 26th of November will be the second stage of the Warhammer. It's stage 36. I will then be taking a break over Christmas, and 37 will return on the 7th of June. So I do apologise. I'm a little bit embarrassed about it. I've never lost things before, but then I don't normally take things to London and bring them back. So what follows now is just a collection of videos, all the little clips that I've recorded. By all means, watch it and enjoy it if you want to, or not. I don't blame you if you don't. Take care, guys. I'll see you next week, when there will be a video that I made ages ago, stage 29, and then the week after we will sort this Warhammer channel out properly, and it will be the best I can possibly make it. So hello there, welcome to issue 28. Now I do apologise, I'm actually filming this after I film next week's episode, and I've just adjusted my microphone, so this might be a little bit better on the mic. Next week it will go down a little bit, and from issue 30 it will all settle. So this is issue 28, and in this one we get some Zarbag's Gits. And unusually, I've not seen units like this before. We only get the 9, but you know, we'll find out why. So we have the first article. This is a Gloomspite Gits Part 2, A Growing Menace, and then we go into Gloomspite Gits Part 13. So this is a little bit more about them. Get them, boys, or I'll get you. Then we have how to build, and it looks like these are push fits, which are not my favourite. So yeah, push fit connections. Yeah, they're not my favourite ones to build, but you know, they're okay. You do get some good figures with them. Then we have how to paint. So Uruk Flesh, Abaddon Black, Lead Belcher, the usual culprits really. And there's quite a lot to this, because obviously as we've been building the paints up, we can now do more. So as usual, we have more rules. So this is page 8, section 8 of the rule book. So this one deals with wounds, how to allocate wounds, what to do with slain models, returning slain models. Some abilities allow you to return slain models to a unit. Wards, healing wounds, mortal wounds. I believe a mortal wound is a wound. When you inflict a wound, then normally you'd get a saving throw. So if my figure stabbed yours and inflicted a wound, you would be able to roll a dice to see if maybe that didn't happen. A mortal wound, you lose that saving throw. So it's a good little ability. Then we have the battle shock phase. So you must take a battle shock roll for each friendly unit has to take about. So if you fail, for each point by which the battle shock roll exceeds the unit's bravery characteristic, one model in that unit must flee. You decide which models flee. A model that flees is removed from play. So that's quite interesting. You could actually lose more models. So we have part 5 of the tutorial, Inspiring Presence, and then we have a couple of war scrolls, one for Zarbag and one for Zarbag's Gits. So that might start to explain why we have 9 models. We actually have a single hero model and 8, but 8 is still an odd number. And then we have another one for Loon Smasher Fanatics. Do we get any of those? No, we get Zarbag's Git, and then we've got, this is interesting, we've got 9 models. Model number 1 and 2, and 3. So you've got, right, this starts to make more sense. So you've got Zarbag's Gits, and then you've got Zarbag himself, then you've got Dibs and Stick It, and then you have a unit of 5, 6. Right, okay, so they're all different characters. That's interesting. This is why I'm learning as well. So then we have another pitched battle, and then what am I doing in the next issue? Let me just double check. So we are doing issue 29 on its own next. So we will be getting Runelorn Brass and Barak Anar Burgundy. Now I have already filmed that episode before I've done this one. I can tell you for a fact that is an absolutely awesome colour. That Runelord Brass, absolutely fantastic. Right guys, so what I'm going to do now is I'll build one with you, and then I will build the rest off camera, and we'll see what they look like. Okay, so I have cut off the pieces that I need for, actually I haven't, I've still got piece number 5 to do. I didn't spot that. Now, this is good and bad. they don't place all of the pieces on the sprue in any kind of order, which is not good in the sense that it's really hard to find. I just spent ages trying to find these pieces, and I'm trying to talk to you while I find piece number 5, and I can't even find that. Look, 12, 30, 26. However, by doing it this way, they're able to get more bits onto the sprue, and I've just found number 5. They're able to get more pieces onto a sprue by arranging them in a better order. So obviously it's going to keep costs down a little bit, but saying that, it is difficult to find. Right, so let's begin with step 1. So we want piece number 1, which is this main body piece, and we're going to pop in piece number 2. And the great thing about these push fits, there are advantages to push fits. So you see I'm placing in piece number 2. It doesn't actually stick to anything, and what you'll do is when you get to piece number 3, which is the head, there's a little small tab there, and that will then lock everything into place like so. The other advantage is that if we now decide that we want to paint, say, inside there, that's really difficult. So we go, oh no, I can't get my brush in there. Let's just take it apart, which isn't easy. It's not easy, very difficult. There we go. And now I can remove that, and I can paint that bit later on. So it makes sub-assembly very easy. However, another disadvantage I find is that you tend to find you get more seam lines. I don't know if you can see that. There's quite a nasty seam line down his shoulder. But it's still a lovely model. Obviously, depending on the level that you want to assemble this, you can produce a very nice model just from straight chucking everything together. Right, so next up is 4, which is the base, and we've got number 6, which is some mushrooms stroke 2 toadstools. And let's see how there's 2 rows of them, and again sticking with our push fit theme. Does that go in there? I think that goes in there. Now that you have to push that in really hard to try and reduce the seam line, and then we have another selection of bits going in. That's nice. That is actually nice, because I can clearly see from where the holes are. You can't put this in the wrong way. Now the struggle here is that I want to push that into a really tight hole, but there's some little loose bits, so I don't know if I can get that in with the assistance of something. Now that's actually not too bad. So there's a really nice base, and then this is going to go in, and this is where probably a push fit is probably the better idea, because as you can see, that's going to be very difficult to paint some of that, so that will be wanting to come apart for sub assemblies. But that I really like. I do like that, and I do quite like the bases that come, you know, like sometimes you get the black base. Let me just grab something. So this is that's, there we go. So this is just a plain base on this model, and you have to decorate it as you see fit. This one, you now have a choice. I probably won't decorate this base. I'll probably just paint it, and you've already got a very nice base. But look, that's the first figure, guys. So you'll join me in a second when I'll have built all the rest. Okay, so that's them all built. Now, most of them went together absolutely fine. This is the one that I did on camera with you. These 2 are just simple 2 pieces, the figure and the base. So obviously they're going to be pretty good. They look the same to me, and this one is another one. Now this looks, these 2 look the same to me, but with a different head. So you know, that's how it goes. Now these ones become multi-part. No, this is 2-part, sorry. Now this one I found interesting because his name is Progdenetta. Now was his name always Progdenetta, so he became whatever job that is with the net, or did he develop the name because he was a netter? So do you have to change your name depending on your job? So this one is quite a nice one as well. This is a multi-part one. That's nice. Sorry about the quality. Now this is probably my favourite. Although I did snap the chain, you have this ball bit, it comes in 2 parts. It then leaves a hole in the front, and then this comes all the way round, and then the end plugs into him. But basically he's some dude on a bull drinking a potion, and I really like him. Now once we zenithal highlight him, it will make the difference. Now these two, first of all, this one I made a cock up. I actually cut the stud off the end, so I've had to glue him in place. But these are made up of like 2 parts for the legs, and then the front goes on, and this one is the same. As a result, you just get this horrible seam line. Look, even with my badly focused camera, you can see this nasty seam line there. That's, I mean, that's not a seam line, that's a cavern. And there's just not really much I can do about that. I may have to resort to pulling that bit off, and then cutting the stud off, and then gluing him on. So let's see if that idea actually works. One or two things is going to happen here. Either it does the job perfectly, or I've completely ruined a model. It's not actually made a there you go, it has made a difference. So can you see, look, that, I mean, it's still a line there, but it is vastly reduced. So obviously we're going to have to glue that on now, because there's no stud mark holding it. Sorry, no stud. And we'll plonk him on there, and that has made a massive difference. It's not perfect, but the seam line that we have now, we might now get away with filling that in with a gloss varnish rather than filler. So that I'm a lot happy with. I might do to him once he's dried off a bit, but yeah, that I'm happy. Right guys, so I'm going to zenithal highlight those, and then we'll come back, and then I'll show you what I've finished with, and yeah, that'll be the end of that video. So 9 figures, 9 lovely figures. He's obviously the leader, and these two seem to have something to do with him, and I think you've effectively got a unit of 4 there, 4 or 5, with a couple of these squiggy things. So have we done the how to paints? We have. So this is probably why we've got so many yeah, this is why we've got so many war scrolls now. Now it all makes sense. So this is Zarbag with his movement of 5 wounds, 6 to save, and 5 bravery. Then you've got the Gits, which I think are these. Moonclad bow. So there we go, Moonclad, that's obviously his Moonclad bow. So these have 3 less wounds each. And then we've got, now we have some with a Moonclad bow, Squig brand, I don't know what that is. We've got a barbed net. So this is this guy here. So he has 3 attacks with a 3 to hit. Slitter and fang-filled gob. I'm not really sure which is which. And that just leaves, this is the, no, I think that's a separate figure. Because I think these are squigs, aren't they? Oh, I'm really sure, oops. And he's not set properly, and I've just moved him. There we go. I'm going to put him there and leave him well alone. And then we've got a Loon Smasher Fanatic with his ball and chain. Now he gets D3 attacks. Sorry, D6 attacks. So he could end up with 1 attack, he could end up with 6. And he has a range of 3 inches. So he has that longer range. But it's a 4 to hit and a 3 to wound with a -2 rend. So that means that whatever, if I remember rightly, a rend means an adjustment to your saving throw. And then the damage is D3. So he could have 1 attack with 1 damage, or he could have 6 attacks with 3 damage. So he's a little tiny bit random, which is how I remember the orcs. The orcs tend to be sort of random. That you could, depending on your dice rolls, they could be really, really strong, or they just could be really, really weak. Right, guys, so this is them. So I will see you. I'm actually going to leave these for overnight, mainly because a couple of these have been glued in. He doesn't want to fit properly. I think I'm just going to give him another dab of glue, because I've accidentally moved him, and I find that if you glue something and then you move it before it's fully set, I tend to find it's not ever going to set properly. So this glue is rather quick setting, but it's not quick curing. Okay, there we go, guys. So I'm going to leave them overnight, and then maybe tomorrow morning or tonight after work I'll get those zenithal highlighted. So hello, welcome to issue 30. As you can see, we're going to be doing some Hobgrot splitters. Now I believe we've done some of these before, so this is going to give us a bigger unit. So let's have a look at the magazine. So we have a section 3 of Chaos, Slaves to Darkness. I'm really enjoying this, guys. You know what my thoughts are towards Chaos. So obviously when we have Slaves to Darkness, yeah, I'm really enjoying this. So we have section 3 on magic. We have a story. Have we not done stories 1 before? I'm sure we have. Maybe they did stories part 2 before they did part 1. So here we have some more information on the Hobgrot splitters. Sorry, there's something on my cutting mat there. And then we go into the how to build. Now these are quite simple builds. Majority of them are just a few pieces. And then there are 10 of them. Then we have the how to paint. Now guys, I didn't wait for you guys to respond regarding the painting. I kind of anticipated what you were going to say, and also decided what I wanted to do. So this is going to be the last issue where I just do the straight magazine and build and zenithal highlight. From next week we will be painting them. It does mean that we've got to split them each issue into 2 videos. So part 1 will be the magazine as I do normally. We'll build the model. I may do sub-assemblies to see how easy it is, you know, obviously if it's not that, if it's very highly detailed. And then part 2 will be the painting. So obviously this section will become a lot more relevant. And as you can see, we're building things up a little bit more. So yeah, that's the painting. So we have rules part 10. So this is building up our rule book. And this one deals with garrisons. Not heard of garrisons before. Units can garrison defensible terrain features. Up to 60 models can garrison a very large terrain feature. Up to 30 can garrison a large, and up to 15 can garrison other defensible terrain models. Models with a wounds characteristic of 10 or more cannot garrison terrain features. So that's quite interesting. I might have to have a look at that later on. But as you know, I don't deal with the rules, I just deal with this with painting. So we have objective markers. Objectives add a key tactical element to your game. Often controlling objectives is key to securing victory and even more important than slaying your foes. Use this guide to ensure you know how to secure objectives in your battle. So to translate that to something a little bit simpler, it could be a case of, for example, there might be a battle, you know, like in World War II, you'd have like, we must hold this bridge. It doesn't matter how many troops we lose, we must hold this bridge at the end of the battle. And that's pretty much what an objective is. If you hold the objective, you get victory points or whatever it is. So yeah, you could end up with one model left on the battle at the end of the game, but if you hold that objective, you win, because that's what it's all about. Don't forget, a lot of these battles, we look at them as, let's have a game of Warhammer, winner loser. Sometimes they're all part of a big campaign, so holding that objective may be key for something that's going to happen in a future battle. Say for example, it might be a portal, so in the next battle you may be holding a portal ready for maybe one of the chaos gods to just pop in lots and lots of troops for another wave. Right, so we have Pitch Battle Part 10, and we have some objective markers here to use. Nice that they give us something on this inside back cover, because what they've been doing is giving us what I call gumph, just general information about a magazine that you're already buying, and I've seen that as quite pointless. So issue 31, which is next week, will be 5 more Vigilors, so that's quite useful, because we may actually be able to paint the Vigilors that we've already got along with these. And then coming in issue 32, which will be quite a few weeks away, will be Moonclad Shooters, and a lot of those seem to have nets, and there are 20 of those, so that's going to be a nice big bumper issue with regards to painting. Small models, but lots of different bits of painting to do. Right, so that's issue 30 introduced. Let's have a look at the model. So for the models this week, we have got Hobgrod Slitters, and as you can see, I call this 3 sprues. You see we've got one small sprue there, and this one is labelled nothing really, it's just got numbers 1 to something. And then we've got 2 more smaller sprues. This one is labelled maybe 16 upwards, and this one's got an H on it, labelled 36 onwards. So to make it a little bit easier for myself, I'm just going to trim this sprue in half, and then we'll have a really good look at one of the sprues. So there we have what looks to me like a musician, and I can see that these are going to be push fits, which I really do not like the push fits quite so much. They tend to not fit together, you tend to get seam lines, but as always, look how finely detailed these models are. Now this is just grey plastic at the moment. That's definitely a musician. That looks like he's got a drum there. So yeah, quite low detail because, sorry, no, let me rephrase that. Hard to see the detail because it's all grey. This is where the zenithal highlight really comes into its own, because you can't see it so much on the camera. In fact, hold that thought there on this piece, because I'm looking at it in front of me with my own eyes, and I can see it's got some really nice detail, and on the camera it doesn't look that good, but I know for a fact that when that zenithal highlighted, that's going to look amazing. So I think we are going to build him on the camera. The other 9 I'll do off camera. So this is actually figure number 2. So let's have a look. So we want piece number 1 and piece number 4. I'm trying to do this. Tell you what, guys, I'm going to cut the camera and I'm going to cut the pieces off because I spend so much time looking for the numbers. I'll see you in a second. Okay, so I've cut the pieces off first, and the assembly is actually really nice because you see there we've just got a little stud there, a little locating pin. Now, one thing I've noticed for these is you have to get the angle exactly right. If you got it off slightly, it doesn't want to go, and sometimes these tabs, they kind of go off at a funny angle, so you've got to push in the direction of the tab, not in the direction of the model. That may actually make more sense if you're building it. And these studs are definitely a really tight fit. So there we go, it's just not going in. It's one of those things that once it's in, it's in. Now I am considering shaving that connection point, but if you shave it just a little bit too much, it's going to go in too loose. And I think actually what it is, right, I can see where my problem is. This bit actually tucks underneath. So you see there's a little notch in the base, and there's a notch on his foot that actually wants to come underneath the notch, and that may be why it's not going in properly. That was why it wasn't going in properly. Now this is actually quite a well designed model, because if you see where the two pieces are, we're actually placing his armor onto his skin. That means, there we go, I mean that's gone in really nice. To be honest with you, for push fit that's fantastic, but if there is a slight gap, it doesn't matter because it's his armor. So that's really nice. So let's see how his head goes on. I'm sorry that my camera's quite terrible and you can't see too well, but I will give a reveal towards the end. So this is a fiddly piece. As you can see, I keep dropping it. Again, I've just dropped the big piece. So these push fits, the locating tabs, again, they've got to go in at the correct angle. It's quite tempting to want to put the head on at that angle, but you don't want to put it on that way. No, that's not. There we go. So there we go. So the seam line is actually right on the border of his head. So this is a much better designed model. I can see a small gap there. Now you can cut those connection points off and then glue them on. This particular one doesn't look like it needs it. Now this is going to be, this looks quite precarious because this is only connected, you've got quite a large piece connected by a small small point, and I don't know how well that went on rather too easy for my liking. So let's see how well. Do you know what, that's holding, look, that's actually really good. So that is that model almost done. We haven't put his, now these bases are quite interesting. Technically they're flashy, so where they've molded this part, it hasn't fully come out. That is actually one of the easiest jobs in the world to sort out. Get something like a craft knife, and what you want to do is just run it along the line like so, and then turn it round, run it along the line there, and you see that cleans that out. And then what we can do, I like to do a little bit of a test pose, just pop it in just the angle, and then we can kind of imagine what it's going to look like on the base, and then maybe try them the other way, because these are a little bit offset. And now I think this particular way, can you see he's got a little bit too much hanging off the side and a little bit too much gap at the back, so I feel he fits better that way. Still got a small amount hanging off, but can you see how he fills the back a little bit more? So that's how I would position him. And that is my, sorry guys, my Hobgrot splitter This will be a standard bearer, flag bearer. I don't know if they've changed the names, but I call them standard bearers. So memorize this guy. When I finished all of them, I'll do a zenithal highlight, and we'll have a look at him, and you'll be absolutely shocked at how much detail there is on there. So I'll see you shortly. So hello there my YouTube friends, how are we all? So this is issue 31 of Warhammer Age of Sigmar Stormbringer. Now the series is going to follow a slightly different format now. Each magazine will be split up into 2 videos. It will unfortunately lengthen the whole series. But the first video of each magazine will be the same format as before. We'll go through the magazine and we'll build and we'll zenithal highlight the model. And then in the second video we'll actually paint it. So this is issue 31. These are Vigilors, which I believe we've seen these before. Correct me if I'm wrong. So there's front cover, and then we go into Order part number 9, which is Seraphon. Now I don't know an awful lot about Seraphon. Essentially they're blue lizard men. Sounds a bit like a conspiracy to me, but there you go. So Seraphon are star-faring warriors. So basically they're lizards from outer space. And you get various types. Some really good models actually. I've seen some really good ones with some really nice details. And it looks a bit like a dry brushing heaven. So then we go into part 7 of history, Stormbringer Crusades. Then we're into the realm of the heavens, the forges of creation. And then we are into part 10 of Stormcast Eternals, more about the Vigilors, and we've got a little table here to find out who your Vigilors were before Sigmar chose them for greatness. So random number 2. These Vigilors are drawn from a clan of storm-chasing mortals who are obsessed with harnessing lightning. Then we have the how to build. Now this is a glue together model, so when you are gluing things together, be careful that you may need sub-assemblies. To be honest with you, models this size you probably don't need sub-assemblies. I'm kind of a little bit like if you prime it all black and then you catch the highlights, if you can't reach it with a paintbrush, it just looks like shadow anyway. That's shadow as in where the sunlight doesn't hit, not shadow my cat. So this is how to build the 5 Vigilors. Then we have the how to paint, and to be honest with you, most of the painting is using paints that we got a long time ago. So this will probably bring it up. I will check that I haven't got any more Vigilors. If I have, then obviously I can do anything new on them. So we've got blue, we've got flesh colours, we've got lead belcher, wrathbone. Then we've got the burgundy and the red, and then we've got Agrax Earthshade. I do like a bit of Agrax Earthshade, and that's what they should look like when they're finished. We'll see what mine looks like when I've finished. As you can see, still not completely finished, but that's the way the magazine goes. So this is a war scroll on Vigilors, and you can see each model in a Vigilors unit is armed with a Stormcaller bow and Stormblade. Now one thing I've not seen before, minimum sizes. Do they have a minimum size of a unit? Is it a case of they must have a minimum size if it's stated? I'm not sure. Right, then we have another tutorial, and then we have an example of a battle, and then we are back into the advertising for Warhammer. And then in next week's, well not week's, next issue, issue 32, 20 moonclad shooters. So that's going to be fun painting that. And then we can see in 33, just a single model but a grand one, a Knight Judica. adjudicator, sorry. So let me set up the pieces for the first model and then we'll get building. Okay, so stage 1 has 3 pieces. We've got 52, which is the head, and 35, which is the body. Now there's a little slot here and you just have to keep rotating it until you kind of feel it lock into place, and there it is. Other than that, you really don't know if you've got it in the right position. I'm going to trust in the process, and I'll just pop a little bit of glue. I'm using thin glue for this one, and I'm going to glue that from the inside. A little bit too much glue in there, but because it's on the inside of the model it really won't matter. And then we can glue his leg on, which looks a bit strange to me. Oh, I see, it's more of his shin. So that's, I don't understand why they would ask us to do this. Obviously part of the moulding process is that you can only get fine detail on one side. So obviously they've done this to increase the level of detail. Yeah, that's going in okay. Yeah, that's fine. It kind of clicks into place. So I'm just going to put a couple of dots of thin glue in there, because we'll let capillary action do the rest. It's one of the things I love about my thin glue, and I wish Citadel would come up with the concept of thin glue, because it is good stuff. I mean, they'll never advertise anything that isn't their own product. Right, so step 2 is popping his arms on, and it's quite awkward without a body. Just want to make sure I've got these the right way round. I can't tell. Stupidly, I cut the pieces off and popped them down on the table, so now I can't tell which piece is which, and that's knocked me head off. Right. Okay, that I think I've got. Yep, that's a good fit. So it's kind of come out a little bit, but the dry fit tells me it works fine. There we go. And because they're small pieces and I'm waiting for the glue to dry, it's being knocked off quite easily, and yeah, that's quite awkward. I'm desperately wanting to get to the next stage of popping the front of the body on. There we go. So I'm always gluing from the inside where possible. There we go. It actually it fits. You can feel the fit, but it's not till you actually glue it in, because it doesn't stay in properly. Right, so this is the part I've been waiting for. So that's the front on, and I think I may use, yeah, there's a bit of a nasty seam line there. I think I might want a peg. There we go, that's better. Now, I can't now glue the rest of it, but I think it's actually fine. I've just found a part that needs a bit of a clean up. There we go, I can see where the join is now. So it actually joins on the back, and I think that'll be sufficient. Okay, so I'll give that, that's got plenty of time there, isn't it? Right, so let's pop his foot on. At least then once I've got his foot on, oh, that's a really nice fit. Doesn't feel it, doesn't look it. Once you actually get that on, it fits really well because of the shape of it. Now, problem with using this thin glue is it's quite aggressive on the plastic, so you have to fit it fairly quickly because it softens the plastic. Lovely. So it actually softens the plastic, so you can't feel that positive connection point. So, right, where does this go? Oh, that's really nice. So you've got a little shape on there, and there is only one way you could possibly fit this, and it's not that way. Right. How not to apply parts. So this might be better if I applied this with tweezers actually. It's a fiddly part, but I think what I'm going to do, I'll dry fit it, as I always do, and then we'll try and balance it in place once we feel that connection point. Nope. I think that wants to go off at an angle a little bit. Yeah, there we go. That's much better. So that's nicely balanced. So I'll find a small hole. There we go. And we'll just let the capillary action do the job. There we go. And that's him without arms so far. Now obviously popping that body in has locked that head in place. It hasn't locked the arm quite so much. And can you see some really awkward places to paint in there? That's going to be tricky. Right. I need to turn the page. I think there's 2 stages left. So we have got 2 pieces of armour, shoulder pads. That one is going there. That was a good guess. Again, I've laid the pieces down. Haven't laid them in any order. But you can see that the this has actually got a line cut into it. That's got a hole. So this has got a groove. So it's not. You can't do it wrong. So again, a little bit of glue in there. Let the capillary action do the job, and whoops. So pop this shit. It's actually an eagle's head by the looks of it, eagle's beak. So pop that in there. That doesn't fit quite so well, but we'll again. We'll just pop some glue in there and just let capillary action do the job. There we go. That's that on. And then we want this bow, which we're going to connect to his hand. And it's going to go that way. Now this is a point where I'd be thinking, should I leave that off and paint it separately? I think we'll be okay. I may end up needing a magic paintbrush that paints around corners. Right. That's nice. That is nice, except I've just knocked it off. You see, I seem to suffer from fat finger syndrome. And as a result, I'm dropping things. Right, so the last thing we've got, have I missed a piece out? I have missed a piece out, 56, so this is going on the back somewhere. Like, I'm looking for any holes. There's a little hole on his back of his shoulder.
Yeah, I think that's where it's going to go. And there's a little pouch, so that means it's going to come more at this angle. There we go. So look for the details and look where they would naturally sit, and then you're suddenly getting into the right position. And is that right? There we go. So really, that's actually really nice once you get everything in place. But I really want to leave that off. Ah, there's a hole there, 2 holes. Right, I really do desperately want to leave that off because it's obscuring so much detail. But that's what he's going to look like. I do just have one more piece. I forgot to cut off piece 56. Give me a second. Okay, so piece 56 is just a sword with a hand on it, and I did just test fit it. It's got a little step on the wrist, so it makes it really easy to fit, really nice to hold, and impossible to place in the wrong position. Right guys, so the only thing left to do now is I think I'm definitely going to leave this this cloak off. So I'm going to find sort of roughly the position I want him on the base. I'm going to get my slower drying. This is if you had the tube, this is the equivalent. This is a little bit slower drying, but a little bit more stronger. And I've just done a quick test on the base, and I can see that he can stand up without the help of glue, which always gives us an advantage. And that's actually stuck really quickly. So that's our figure, that's our Vigilil Prime. As I say, I'm going to I don't really want to glue that on now. I think that's going to make life so much harder. Or we could stick it on. I'll tell you what, look, guys, I'll paint I'll glue the rest of them together. I'll do that off camera and I'll show you when I'm finished. And then I think we can decide while I'm doing that. Obviously, it's much easier if you can glue them all together because you get all your angles correct for your zenithal. But it's going to be a lot easier to paint with it off. Right, so guys, I'll see you in a moment when I've finished putting these together.
Okay, that's it. So I do apologise again for not bringing you a proper episode. I thought I don't really want to waste the footage I've got. But don't worry, next week is going to be issue 29. That's a complete issue. That's the last one that I've done in the hotel. And then the week after will be 32. Each video will be split into 2. Well, it depends, but most videos will be split into 2. So the first part will be the magazine, and we'll assemble the model and we'll do a zenithal highlight. And then part 2 will be the actual painting. Where I'm able to, sometimes when we get new paints, we have to go back and repaint, add on bits from other models. But that's generally going to be the format. When I get paints, that will probably just be a single issue. We'll show the paint off and then we'll paint some of the models. And there will be other issues where you get one figure that comes over multiple parts. So obviously there will be the assembly. So if it's 3 parts to make a model, you'll get part 1, 2 and 3, which is the building. Part 3 will also be the zenithal highlight, and then part 4 will be the painting. So look guys, kudos to you if you've watched this far. Thank you ever so much, and I'll catch you in the next issue, which is next week, and I can't find the stop button. Take care guys, bye bye.